Don't forget to tune in every Saturday morning from 10 to 11 a.m. to hear our show on 101.5 FM, the Entrepreneur Business Community Show.
And we're back, and this is the Entrepreneur Business Community Show. And I have with me today Dale Risker, and we were going through the many hats that wear Dale. Dale wears, yeah, okay.
We have quite a few of them going on here.
There you go. I haven't even been drinking either. That's the sad part. So I guess the last one we were ending with is the counter etiquette, business counter etiquette, we're calling it, sales counter. And we were talking about the fact that it's important to ask your customer to come back.
Absolutely. It's always good to have a little conversation if time warrants as well. You know, they are a person. We have customers that pull up, and most of the ice cream stores are walk-up type thing to the window. And my girls know those customers so well, they will go and start making the product before the customer's at the window because they just know that they're going to get whatever item, you know, a small milkshake or a large milkshake or a twist or whatever. So they have a rapport when they come, how's your day going, and so on and so forth. But whenever they're leaving, the key to is saying thank you. Thanks for coming.
Could you incorporate their name? They always say the most important music to a person's ears is their name. Have you thought about just putting Mike or asking the person's first name whenever you have an order placed?
Generally, we have not, and that might be a good suggestion. But on the repeat customers,
knowing what
they do know them by name, you know, and they'll say, "Hi, Dawn, how are you today?" and things like that. We have, this is a pretty good story to tell. We have an elderly gentleman and his wife. Yeah, I know, you're timing me. That show up, and they both have some physical disabilities that they're just moving slow. My girls will leave, walk out the building, walk out and take the order.
Great.
And come back in and make it, and then carry it back out for them because they just know that they have a problem getting in and out of the car, and they've been coming for years, and I'm sure that means an awful lot to them.
You're talking about that and knowing people and names. The most interesting thing happened to me. I go to church with my mother and father, who are 91 and 88 respectively, and I just enjoy going to their church with them because they enjoy my coming to the church. And we have a priest there that is actually, and it's a small congregation of maybe 100 people, he has learned all 100 names. And when you go up for communion, and mind you, he has 3 seconds to do this because there are people walking up. He has not missed a beat. He will say the name of the person before he gives the communion to him. And it's really inspiring to me because I think he's up there and he has 3 seconds to remember every name. And I mean, he doesn't miss one because my thing is to sit there and listen to him.
Well, that name tag helps a lot, right?
Oh yeah, I said there's name tags on them. That's what, he has an earplug in, and somebody's giving him the names from
feeding it to him. Well, that's really great.
He actually remembered 100 names, and I thought, you know what? We have 100 friends, and you know, why don't we remember in our chamber every name of every person? And that's really hard to do. And here he is doing that in 3-second intervals.
That's great.
That's all he has.
Yeah, that's really good. I know at some of our chamber events, the people come and we see them regularly, and it just goes blank. You know their name, but I can't think of their name to save my soul.
I know what you mean, Harold. Oh, I'm sorry. Is it Dale?
I think today.
Okay. Well, let's move on to another subject. So we've covered some ideas for our listeners for the sales counter etiquette, we're calling it. And now we're going to put turn the burner on to you a little bit. And we're going to ask, why do you own so many businesses or run so many businesses? Couldn't you just kept it real simple and just did the airplanes, for example?
Probably could have, and probably would have been more successful in each business if I would have only had one, because we only have so much time to dedicate. So, you know, the old expression, you know, that how's it go? Master of talents, but
Oh
master
God,
of
I
none.
forget it all of a sudden. The jack
Yeah.
of all trades.
That's it. That's it.
The
Jack.
master of
That's
none.
it. That's it.
The
That's
jack
it,
of all
exactly.
trades, but the master of none. But
I probably fall into that category, but how some of this has happened has been coincidental.
you're seasonal too.
Well, that's
on
true.
some
Yeah,
businesses.
yeah. The ice cream is strictly seasonal. It's 5 to 6 month out of the deal, but it's 7 days a week, 10 to 10. That's a lot of time. And of course, I'm not there all the time. I have great people working for me. Family helps me out a lot, and that's the only way that I could do any of this if I didn't have good help. And that's another good subject to talk about as far as entrepreneur. Finding good people, how to find them and pick them. But getting back to your question,
That's a whole show. That's
that,
a whole
that
show
is a
right
whole
there.
show. But I'd be lost without my help and family and good people that I have working with me.
Well, a lot of successful businessmen have actually gone into 2, 3 different directions at one time and been successful in all 2 or 3 because success principles, I guess, apply across the boards.
I think they do, and sometimes I question myself about being so involved in different businesses, but then I sit back and I look at large franchise that are nationwide or worldwide. Let's look at McDonald's. They have McDonald's in all over the world. Now,
And different products.
And yeah, different products. The way I look at it is, of course, I'm not that successful, but if a person can go and set up a management team to manage a worldwide fast food operation, I ought to be able to handle at least the East Coast of
2, 3 things at one time.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but I think we're all indirectly in sales, and we have to admit that there are down cycles in certain businesses. You have down cycles in the aircraft business, and then you obviously have seasonal cycles in the soft serve business, and then that goes on with the other businesses that you have as well.
Yeah.
So you just take the harvest that's there in front of you at the time. Is that it?
Or shall we
Yeah.
say the opportunity? And I'll give you a quick story on the ice cream. I was flying some political people around. They were looking to survey an area of putting in a road system. And I kept on flying these people monthly, and I finally had enough nerve to say, what direction is this road going to come? And the gentleman looked at me and he said, I tell you how to fly, what direction and what to follow, once you be smart enough to figure out where the road's going to go. So I sat back and I thought, well, I guess he just spanked me and put me in my place. So
Fly the airplane.
yeah, don't worry about the road. But I start looking for some property on the same pattern that I was flying. And I found a abandoned building that was a business, and that happened to be a Tasty Freeze soft serve out of McDonald on Route 980. And
This is plug time.
well, you got to get
McDonald.
paid. Got to get paid somehow. here.
That's Route 980 in McDonald.
Yeah, that's about 3
What's the
miles
name of the
north.
store?
It's called the Original Shake and Twist.
You didn't think I'd ever ask.
Yeah, thank you. Used to be the old Tasty Freeze, but everybody in the area still calls it the Freeze or the Tasty Freeze. But that's another story. But anyway, I found this piece of property, and I bought it basically for the investment in the property, thinking it was on an intersection, the road's coming this way, not knowing that all the ice cream equipment was in the store,
Ready.
ready basically to go. I had 2 boys at that time. One was in junior high and one was in high school, and they encouraged me, and my significant other encouraged me into going into the ice cream business. And that's how I got started in it through Tasty Freeze. Met a gentleman by the name of John Herrick, who was the franchisor of Tasty Freeze in Western Pennsylvania. Great guy. Never made an ice cream cone in my life. He came out, gave me a lot of directions, and I actually make my business plan after how he recruited me into Tasty Freeze, and now I use that same plan whenever somebody comes in for one of my franchise.
Let me guess. In the meantime, the boys moved on. One is an airplane pilot, and the other one works in an IT company, and you're still there.
I'm still there. I've been there for, I think this is my 12th year.
It's been that long.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it has. And each year we've shown growth. And it's an interesting business. Basically, a 6-month deal, and if you do it the right way, and that's my way, you're basically a 30% profit. And there's very few small businesses that mom and pops can get into with a relatively low investment that you can get a 30% return today anyway.
Well, that qualifies you as one of our clients. So, Mr. Terry, you could send an invoice to Dale now for that commercial spot. And I have the flag going up again that it's time for a break. And this is Dale Risker we're interviewing, and we're on the Entrepreneur Business Community Show. And I, Don Hoder, and the two of us will be back shortly. You've been listening to our program and wondering how you can meet other listeners and businessmen in the area. We have two events coming up. One is May 16th from 5 to 7 p.m., and that's an evening of networking, cocktails, and hors d'oeuvres, and that's at Burska Drive in Bridgeville. And you can attend that by going to shopsouthpointe.net. That's shopsouthpointe.net, and click on the free event. Also, we have a networking lunch, which is May 24th, and that's at Bella Sarah's, and that's located just outside of South Point, May 24th, 11:30 in the morning. This is a lunch, and it'll last for an hour or two, depending on how long you want to stay. And you can also go to shopsouthpointe.net. That's shopsouthpointe. That's an E on the end, .net. That event is $13 for members and only $25 for non-members. We'll see you at both events. And thank you for that information. This is the Entrepreneur Business Community Show. This is Don Hoder, and I'm interviewing Dale Risker. And we were just talking, Dale, hi. We were just talking about entrepreneurs who go into 2, 3 different businesses or switch careers. And I just realized, let me ask our program director, we were at an event the other day, and we were interviewing Harlan Schober, who is the commissioner of Washington County. And he had switched 2, 3 times on his career path. So if we got a minute and you could punch that up on the computer, Mike, maybe we could just see the quick interview that we did with Harlan Schober, where he made a migration from actually from 3 different businesses to becoming a commissioner. So sometimes it takes your whole lifetime to figure out what you want to do. So go ahead and roll that. Hi, this is Don Hoder from the Southpointe Marcellus Shell Chamber of Commerce, and today we have one of our commissioners with us. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, Don. Thank you.
Good. What are some of the new issues that have hit the paper, so to speak? I haven't really been watching completely, but I guess in the last 3 months we've had tremendous growth in the area.
Absolutely. You know, we all know that the growth in Washington County last year was we were 3rd in the nation, and that's been talked about a lot.
That is amazing.
In job growth. You know, I attribute that a lot to the gas industry. Let's face it, that's what's happening. You know, we've talked about 45% of new development is in the gas-related industry. But, you know, we have other things. We have Southpointe. You look at Southpointe in the business, the corporate headquarters here. This has been a great vision for the leaders of the past, and our job right now is to move that forward. You know, with the gas industry here, the jobs are being created because of a lot of the construction going on in the gas industry, and I think our job now is to have that same vision and look toward the future and say, let's bring jobs in that use gas, use the low cost of gas from a transport situation, and not in the development only. And with that in mind, we'll continue to grow and to prosper, I think, into the future.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that, and I want to thank you very much for the interview this evening. And this is Don Hoder from the Southpointe Marcellus Shell Chamber of Commerce, and I'm interviewing Harlan Schober, our new 3-month seasoned commissioner.
Thank you, Don.
And we're back with the Entrepreneur Business Community Show. This is Don Hoder. I have with me our guest today, Dale Risker.
How you doing, Don? Pleasure to be here.
And you know what? It's been a great time is really flying. It's been a great conversation. And getting back to that video clip that we just watched of Harlan Schober, here's a gentleman that went from AT&T to his own construction business, while at the same time being a township supervisor. Then he decides and I don't know his age, but it's he's been around for a while, I guess you'd say. He decides to go into the politics and being a county commissioner, and that brings about a good question, and that is it too late for our listeners who are really feel like they're stuck in their own business and they're railroaded into the business? Is it too late to go into another business, and what are the odds or the chances of being successful at it? And how do you switch horses, tracks, trains? Did I get all the analogies?
Well, that's a good question, and
Planes.
needless to say, there's a lot of concern and reservations before you do that. We all like the secure job. We like, some of us like the 9-to-5 type
The
scenario.
predictability of the
Yeah.
misery.
Yeah, exactly. And quite honestly, speaking for myself, I've worked for U.S. Steel for years and a couple other companies before. For the last 25 years, I've worked for myself in different adventures. But it was a big chance to take that step. And a lot of people that want to do that, they don't feel comfortable because they don't have the benefit packages. They don't have this given up vacation, type thing. When you take that step, it is a real big step to take, and you got to consider it. But personally speaking, I've never been so happy in my whole life, You're going to work for somebody when you don't enjoy what you're doing, and I'm sure Harlan can relate to this, is I could just see doing the interview and talking to him, he was just so excited to be in the political arena now, and he's only been there for a short period of time, but he's so excited about it. I'm doing this. What do you think? Any suggestions for me?
Well, there's
Great guy.
There's
And
a pattern there, and I don't want to lose this thought
No.
because I have a funny feeling this is the answer. We found it. Did you ever hold two jobs at one time?
Absolutely.
Almost always. Huh?
Yeah.
So I think the answer for people who want to make a career change is to do the new idea, whatever that is, whether it's being a carpenter or ice cream or whatever it is to do it part-time.
That's how I started. I mean, I had a full-time job, 9 to 5, and the aviation was the first adventure that I went into, and I worked two jobs. I worked 12, 15 hours a day, 7 days a week.
So it's kind of like your foot's on two stepping stones, and you can't slip because if you have your foot on the second stepping stone, let's just take arbitrarily photography, wedding photography. You could do that on a Saturday and a Sunday and the evenings, but at the same time maintain your 9 to 5 job so that when you feel comfortable or there's enough money being made on the secondary job, you could slowly make that shift over.
Well, let's call it security.
Security. You can still keep the advantage of working at your night or your daytime job, but still bring on some jobs on the side or opportunities.
That's exactly why that I did that. It wasn't real enjoyable, but the big thing is once I made that switch and I made the commitment of getting up, going to work, enjoying getting up, going to work, not being, oh, well, it's another day at the salt mine. I look forward to every day's a new problem to solve, a new adventure. And when it's your own business, it really makes a difference as far as if you're liking what you're doing.
Not to pick on Harlan, but here again, he was going to supervisory meetings in the evening where he had his daytime position, but he was going into supervisory meetings. I guess the answer is let's not go home and watch TV, but rather take, and I always used to say to my son, make your hobby your business.
That's a perfect business.
That's a perfect business. My son likes boating, so he happens to have on the side a boating business. He's a broker. He sells and buys boats, and he does that on the side. And if something ever happened to his primary position, he could shift gears quickly.
See, he's doing the same thing that we just discussed.
Yes.
He's starting that boat adventure and working it on the side, and I'm sure that someday it will grow, and then he'll be able to step full-time into the boating sales.
One thing I did notice that your boss on your mainstream 9-to-5 job doesn't like to hear about your entrepreneurial flares in the evenings. So you might, as a word of caution to our listeners, keep church and state separate. Don't be talking about how successful you are or what you're doing tonight in your business to the people that are there in your office community, because that could be a conflict. And it's not that you're hiding anything. It's just a matter of just keeping different businesses in their categories and being careful not to mix them together.
Well, now I'm on the other side of the room, and if I had an employee that was doing something else, I wouldn't discourage them of doing it, because I realize how important it is to find your niche, to find out what you really like to do. As long as it wouldn't interfere in my 9-to-5 job with him, sure. I encourage people to do that. And I have people that working for me in the ice cream store, and it's a minimum wage type scenario. I encourage them, if they ever come to me and say, I have an opportunity, I always encourage them to go forward. You have to better yourself. I want them to take that step forward, sure. and move ahead.
So I guess our advice would be to have a secondary or a fallback position as far as careers go, and ideally make that fallback your hobby or something that you enjoy doing. And just whatever that, maybe it's fishing, maybe you want to take on a particular product line or a fishing boat, or
well, yeah, you could do a guide service for fishing if you like fishing, or golfing, golf enough to turn into a golf pro, or to give golfing lessons. But everybody is not made or built to be in business for themselves. And I'll give you an example. My father, he's 91 years old. He worked for U.S. Steel for 43 years. I think he missed 3 days in 43 years.
Sounds like my dad.
He just loved his job. That 9-to-5, or a matter of fact, he worked swing shift. He worked 7 to 3, 3 to 11, and night turn 11 to 7. God bless him. Yeah. But today, at 91, he looks at me, and if I would come back and say, Dad, I have a 9-to-5 job, he'd say, Son, I'm glad you finally got a real job.
Finally got a real job. Well, that's the mentality of that generation, and obviously they are correct from their perspective, because there was a lot more stability in the economy. Yeah. Now companies merge, purge, close, sell, buy each other, switch product lines overnight, drop product lines, buy companies and close them. So it's no longer that 30-year longevity that you have with one company. You pretty much have to be looking at all of your options all the time, I think, as an employee, a businessman, or a business owner. So let's say I don't want to be in business with myself, but for myself, I should say, but I want to do something after 5 o'clock. Could I work at a store, a hardware store, or a shoe store, or even something like that?
I think all of those ideas are good ideas, but particularly, as I mentioned at the beginning of this, everybody's not cut out to be a business person or work for themselves. So,
sell shoes or
yeah, absolutely. But your idea of, if you want that security, and say you want to give golf lessons and you're a good golfer, there's nothing wrong with just
even if you get one customer a year, at least you get something going.
Make out some business cards and throw it out there and enjoy what you're doing.
Living on a golf course, I think I'm going to sell helmets to people.
Or maybe replacement windows.
Yeah, replacement windows or helmets. Hey, we're getting the signal that it's the end of the show, and for those of you that are out that are listening, and we got you all excited about all these great ideas, we're inviting you to come to one of our sponsors' website, where actually many of these ideas come together in a melting pot or a discussion area, and that is with the Southpointe Marcellus Shell Chamber of Commerce. You don't have to be gas oil related to be in that business or to come visit us. But once you come into our events, you'll see 200 people there. Dale and I will be there amongst our other members. And it's just a great chance to network and meet each other and share and exchange ideas on the level we've done here today on the show. And I'll have Terry, we'll switch to a commercial, and he can give give all the critical phone numbers, but I'll throw in 724-873-7777 right now.
Well,
Now
you're not
my-
going to upsell me here. I got to get one more plug. If anybody would have any questions about what we have talked about, and particularly my businesses, feel free to give me a call at 724-350-5562. And Don, I want to thank you for the opportunity. I think it's a great service that you're providing, and hopefully that we can help some people step into the entrepreneurship and go into business for themselves, or maybe realize that where they're at is the best place for them.
Well, there you heard it from Dale Risker, who is an airplane pilot, commercial pilot, procurement of aircraft, soft serve franchise,
Yes.
a farm.
A
right?
farmer, yeah, we
Did
got
I
a
miss
farm.
anything here?
Oh, I'm
All
not
in
sure.
one.
Maybe something new tomorrow.
So we've got all of those years of experience that you got to listen to today, and we want to thank you once again. And that's Dale Risker from the, you're also president of the Southpointe Chamber of Commerce. I forgot that. And this is Don Hoder from the show Entrepreneur Business Community Show. And we want to thank you for listening to the show and look forward to seeing you back.
Thank you.